Hi folks, Nathan from KBL Texas Homestead, and I want to welcome you back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to bring you along and teach you how to build this cedar garden trellis. So it is a 72-inch tall garden trellis that is made out of cedar, and I'm going to show you how I can make it with 1 1/4 cedar pickets. Alright, so that's the key. Let's make this with 1 1/4 cedar pickets to build this trellis. It's super easy, super simple, anybody can do it. Today I'm going to show you how it's done. Alright, so let's talk about how I make this jig to make this fan trellis. So this is just a scrap piece of wood. I happen to have a 2x6 here, so I'm going to use that. This 2x6 is cut to 36 inches. 36 inches. So that's going to be close to the width of my fan at the top. At the tallest point from point A to point B will be 36 inches. So what you want to do is come in here and take a measurement, and I'm going to place my screws 1 inch. So I'm going to say 1 inch from the edge of my board right here where my finger is, and I'm going to scribe a mark 1 inch. Now there's a little scribe mark. If you didn't know that, these tape measures are great for scribing. So you take 1 inch. I'm going to try to duplicate this multiple times, so I want to get it exact. And you scribe a line. You can go all the way down. I'm going to go close to where I know my screw holes are going to be. I've already got some pre-drilled screw holes. 1 inch and then 1 inch down here at the end. So once I got those scribed, I want to start my first screw hole at 1 inch. So 1 inch and 1 inch is where I'm going to drive a screw. So let's get that drove in the board. Alright, so we're going to take 1 inch and scribe a mark by our 1 inch scribe that we already had here to create our intersection on where we want our screw. Let's drive a screw. And try to drive it straight. Don't have to be perfect, but as you can see, that one does not want to go in straight. Okay, just make sure it doesn't protrude through the bottom, because you don't want the screw sticking out the bottom to snag on things. Now let's move over to this side and repeat that process. 1 inch measurement. Let's scribe at 1 inch. And let's drive a screw. Okay, beautiful. Now we're going to take the difference between those two screws and let's split it. So we're going to have 5 fans. We're going to put one in the middle and one on each side. So let's see what we come up with. Okay, so for our measurement from screw to the next screw, we came up with 8.5. So every 8.5 inches you want to scribe a mark. So I'll put 8.5 on the center of this screw, and I'm going to scribe a mark for the next screw. And then we'll take 8.5 inches from this one, 8.5 inches from this scribe mark, and we'll scribe another mark. That'll be our second. Then we'll roll this camera around. 8.5 inches from this mark, we'll scribe another one. Then theoretically, if our math is correct, 8.5 inches from this scribe line, we should be at the center of our screw, which we are. So that's perfect. Let's drive some screws. Now make sure you drive your screw where you did your 1-inch scribe mark from here to there at your cross section. This is where you want to drive your screws. Make sure you have some good screws. These screws are painted and make it a little difficult for the head to be straight. Okay, move over down the board to your next scribe mark and drive a screw. Okay, and go to your final scribe mark and drive a screw. Beautiful. And there you have it. We have created the top fan part for this jig. Don't mind old Crooked here. He didn't want to cooperate. So we've got our top half of the jig made. Now we're going to fasten it to this board. Now you don't have to do this. You can manage without, but I'm going to scribe, which I already did, the center mark of this board. I'm going to find the center mark of our crossboard and I'm going to screw it down so that way I have a center line and I know exactly where our center trellis is supposed to be. Alright, so it just so happens that our center screw is the exact center of our board. So I have a scribe mark here, I've got a scribe mark on the center here. Now I'm going to fasten some screws from here to here. Now I'm just using an 1.25 inch screw just to grab enough for this top board. So let's drive some screws. Alright, so one thing you want to do before you drive your screws on the underside is make sure that your template board is square with your board that you're going to mount it to. As you can see here, we are tightly square. That way our trellis comes out nice and plumb. Okay, now for mounting your bottom board, I just got these placed up here, and what I like to do is start with all your 1x scrap material all flush with this outside edge of your template. And what that's going to do is down here, that is going to offset your bottoms of your board down here. Now I want the top section to be fanned out. I don't want it to be square, but this way I know exactly where my edge pieces need to be for the template. Then I'll come down here and I will push all of these square with each other. So I'll just push them until they all meet each other. There. And once they all meet each other, then we'll mount our bottom section of this design. Okay, once you got another little strap piece and you've got it square and you've got it up against your bottom of your trellises, and you've got it up against the bottom of your trellises, and you know that they're all good, then you want to screw this down. Again, I'm using 1¼ inch screws just to secure it in place. Now make sure you stay square. This one came out of plumb. Plumb it back up. And there it is. Nice and square. Now all this is going to do is act as a stop for your board, so they hit the same spot every time and all your fans come out identical. Alright, there you have it. There is the jig portion of this fan build. So you've essentially got one long piece of wood, whatever you choose. I just had this one. You need it to be a little over 72 inches long. You mount you a base plate, and you mount you your top jig that's going to create your fans and your spacing for the fans. And that's as simple as that for the jig. Now let me show you how we use it.